Hello and welcome to the GW17 edition of the FPL Scope podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matthias, and with me today I have the very happy newly NBA Cup champion supporting Kevin Nisanka, who is a New York Knicks fan, and they just decimated the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama to become the third at least, NBA Cup champions. So, Kevin, how do you feel? How does it feel to be a champion?
Yeah, it feels great. I can be very proud of the team. It was a great performance despite it looking shaky for the first three quarters, but then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, the Knicks shut that shit down. Comparatively to Woltemade, who scored a fucking own goal because he sucks. So, yeah, let's just go into the deep end with everything.
Yes, I've said this
And
story in a different in a different video, but when I had just finished work and I was on my way back home from work, and we both had Woltemade in our teams, and I messaged you saying it would be like basically the quote up there: if Woltemade could do anything, that would be great. And then I check the live scores, and then I've seen Sunderland score, and it's Woltemade scoring an own goal. So I had to retract my statement straight away. But apart from Woltemade, you had a pretty good game week overall. 77 points. You did 5 free transfers in typical Kevin fashion. You have done like all AFCON transfers straight away with 0.0 exactly in the bank as well, which is also kind of typical. So you've done Semenyo to Foden. That worked out pretty well. Semenyo did score, but Foden scored even more with 11 points. You did Calafiori to Timber. Almost worked out. Like, was a pretty safe transfer considering he was playing Wolves, Timber. And he's also like a slightly better asset than Calafiori, but only 2 points for Timber because they did concede really late in that game. Pretty worrying from Arsenal. You did Munoz to O'Reilly. Munoz was injured, so it made sense. O'Reilly coming in makes sense as well. He's going to play every game now with Aït-Nouri also going to African Cup of Nations. And then finally, like a week after, you did Diouf to Vandenberg, 0 to 4 points. I say finally, that's 4 of the transfers, but the final transfer is the one that is the most contentious for me, especially. You did Minte out, which is fair. He could have scored against Liverpool, but you went for him to Dewsbury-Hall, despite me saying, do not curse Dewsbury-Hall again, Kevin. Do not do it. What happens? Dewsbury-Hall plays 15 minutes and he has to be subbed off, gets a 1-pointer yet again for your team. So what do you have to say for yourself to defend yourself? You cursed your own player once again. What is this about?
I can't say cursing when you benched him last week for one of his best hauls, and I felt like I had to bring him in against Chelsea, his former club, after all. So it was the storyline as well. I want to rub it in uh, with Tim, but unfortunately, Chelsea got the last laugh as they completely destroyed us, and Cole Palmer got amongst the goals, which is like the first goal he scored in many months because of his injuries and whatnot. So, yeah, not the best, not the worst. And what is funny is he would have been Harry Wilson, which would have
Yep.
made my score even more. But all things considered, I'm pretty happy with the score that I got. I did a
Yep.
lot of good transfers in that regards, and unfortunately, I had a lot of suspensions and injuries, and a lot of players that I figured wouldn't do much. I mean, Semenyo might have been unlucky not to match Foden, to be honest, because he looked really good against Man United, and it's quite crazy that in a 4-goal haul by Bournemouth in 8 goals game, he managed to only get 1 goals contribution, which is pretty nuts for Semenyo. But it is very classic Semenyo. I feel like he's always scores against United these days,
Yeah, he
and at
is.
Old Trafford for that matter.
Yeah, I mean they had won 3-0 2 seasons in a row at Old Trafford, so they keep
Yeah.
scoring there. But this time, Man United scored a lot of goals as well. But yeah, just to get back to that Dewsbury-Hall point a little bit, just to rub it in even more with you. These are the scores that Dewsbury-Hall has had when he's not been in your team. Game week 3, you free hitted, he got 12 points. You sold him in game week 11, 9 points. Game week 12, 13 points. Game week 13, 7 points. Game week 14, 3 points. Game week 15, 16 points. So that's 60 points in 6 game weeks, 10 points per game without you, or like when you've not had him. But when you've had him, he's gotten 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 1 point, 1 point, 0 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, and 1 point.
That's whatever. I mean, you can't say it's really a curse when I support the team he plays for and watch
Exactly.
every
That's why you
single
shouldn't
game.
buy him. Stay away from
No,
him. Let him
that's
score on his own.
nah, that's fine. But unfortunate. I mean, who could have predicted that in that regards?
This guy. I said you were going to curse him. You did. But anyways, more important matters. Sure, curses are not real. We don't believe in curses. I don't, at least. Maybe you do, but
Hmm.
you believe whatever. That's a whole philosophical discussion we're not going to have on this podcast. But what is the latest with Dewsbury-Hall? That's more important. Like, what is the prognosis for him and him going forward? Because he is going to be a pretty good asset going forward if he is healthy. But if he's injured, you might as well move on, I guess. But like, what's the latest with Dewsbury-Hall? You as Everton fan, can you tell us? Like, do you know anything?
I mean, well, from what I've heard is that he might be out for a little bit, but it's been very nondescript in terms of when um, he's going to come back. So I think an injury prognosis will happen closer towards the weekend. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait until Friday to know for sure on the press conference because that's usually when Moise will say something in regards to it.
Yep.
So none of us actually know for sure. And unfortunately, I do think that anyone who has him and has like a route to Harry Wilson pretty easily should maybe sell and maybe do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering maybe doing a -4 myself of just getting rid of Woltemade and
Getting Wilson.
potentially KDH or potentially but again, there's some difficulties with that because I want to get in the king that is of West Ham relegation legend, Jared Bowen. So yeah, it's going to be a hard one, and it's going to require a little bit of thinking. I'm not particularly happy with Thiago either as of late, but that's I feel like their games dictate too much to not take him out as of yet. And also, Ultimata has easy games coming up soon as well, but it might be a question of whether Wissa gets to eat some of the minutes.
Yeah.
So a lot of weird decisions coming up soon, and a bit annoyed that I used all my transfers already, but
Of
I had
course.
to make these transfers. As you can see by my score, it pretty much saved my week massively. So yeah, I'm not unhappy with what I did.
Yeah, fair. I mean, you did get some points from the transfer, Semenyo to Foden, Munoz to O'Reilly mainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to discuss your team for Gaming 17, which you'll get to eventually in this podcast as
Yeah.
well. Now let's move on to the third founding member of the FPL School podcast. That is our friend Kimo, who got 71 points. Pretty decent gaming for him as well, and also really good transfers because he didn't have Saka and brought in Saka for Mbuemo and Captain Saka for 22 points. Of course, the best captain's option was still Haaland. Of course, as I knew, no, I did not mean to captain Holland, but I ended up doing it anyways. But Saka, 22 points as captain. O'Reilly in for Munoz, just like you, 6 points extra there. And Reece James to Anderson basically to fund the other two moves. So I think it makes sense in that regard. But Anderson and Fulham just haven't been that good. They've conceded a lot of goals, and now they're losing Calvin Bassey as well. So yeah, not looking too good for Anderson, I think. But he has some decent-ish fixtures now with Nottingham Forest at home and West Ham away in the next two at least. But yeah, 71 points for Kimo. He actually used only 3 out of his 5 transfers last week. So that's why I'm a bit like, why didn't you do more transfers last week? He could have done that, like, and not burned the 2 transfers that he did burn in Gaming 15. So that's the only thing that I have against Kimo's transfers. But overall, I think his team is looking pretty good. There's obviously one glaring omission, and that is Bruno Fernandes. That's probably why he hasn't gotten the biggest score. Or like 71 is a decent score, but like he could have had an even bigger score if he had Bruno Fernandes, but he didn't. No Man United players at all in this squad. So yeah, what do you make of Kimo's transfers, transfer dealings? He has, of course, some extra transfers in the bank. He had 2 more available to him, so he's going to have 3 transfers for next game week. So what do you make of Kimo's decision making and team for Gaming 16?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, a lot of good players there. Unfortunate with Groupie Jr. because at any minute he could score. And I think we've come to the point where it's weird because Evan Olsen was great in the game, but Groupie Jr. is also equally as good. So I think it's a real luxury problem that they have. But I don't know. Evan Olsen's sort of inconsistent enough where I'm like Groupie Jr.
Yeah,
maybe could be rotated a bit more frequently.
I think so.
But of course, the rest of the team looks pretty good. especially if he's going to triple up maybe with Truffaut and Cooper Jr. against, what is it, Burnley in the next match. So,
Yes, burn that home.
yeah, I think he has some nice players there. But again, like, I think he's going to stash Livermento until the good run of fixtures that are coming up. And potentially, if he ends up going to City or whatever, that now there's a lot of rumors about. Um, so yeah, I think transfers were good. Chelsea have been pretty good defensively here and there in random matches where you think they concede. So maybe it might be a bit of a whatever, but considering he need to get the funds for Saka, I assume that's why he did the
Yep.
transfers that he did. O'Reilly's a good pick. I mean, I picked him myself, and Pep seems to have a lot of praise for him. And now that Ait Nouri is at AFCON, he's going to be a busy boy there. So, yeah, I think all of these were good transfers. I think Anderson also good transfer, despite conceding what twice. He still managed to get DEFCON as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yellow
it's a
card and
bit
conceded
unlucky.
twice. Got DEFCON.
Yeah, so it's still a beast, and I reckon. But I don't know. Nottingham Forest looked really good in the match against Spurs, so
Yeah.
maybe they're not going to be that big of a pushover.
It's
So
Spurs.
I say it's just Spurs, but at the end of the day, Nottingham Forest have still done some interesting things, including beating Liverpool. So, and
Yeah.
if it's just Liverpool, are we really going to say that when you conceded to Alexander Isak, who's been shit all year?
Yeah. And we can't really say much either as West Ham and Everton fans with Spurs, but whatever.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I think generally speaking, some interesting transfers and stuff like that. But I do think maybe there might be some room to mess around with Semenyo and Minte, or potentially even Enzo, who I don't think is the best pick going forward.
No.
So yeah, I think there's room for improvement in regards to where else he can get points from. But nevertheless, 71's a great score. It's only six less than me, and he did it on Bruno, which is pretty nuts.
Yep, that's true. That is Kimo's game week for game week 16. He scored pretty well, but we have another manager that scored the most out of everyone in the FPL Scope Mini League, and that is Nihal Shetty with 103 points this game week. And of course, as always, I'm going to remind you guys watching that if you want to be the manager of the week, just like this guy or this girl, I don't even know if that's a girl's or guy name really, but if this manager, if you want to be featured just like this manager, then you can join the FPL Scope Mini League with the league code FNPQ83. And if you get the highest score in one particular game week, you'll get featured either on the podcast or most likely now in the busy Christmas schedule, you'll be featured on my team section videos as well. But yeah, 103 points for the manager of the week and some really, really, really good transfers. So Gakpo to Wilson, 16 points right there, saving some money, giving some money available to go from Reinders to Foden. Another couple points there as well. And Buemo to Fernandez, gaining 11 points from that. And then Woltemade to Guiu to afford it all, basically, because that is... yeah, of course, like a downgrade, but it still was 0 points from Woltemade compared to 0 points for Guiu on the end of the bench. So definitely worth it to fund all the other moves. So amazing scores there. 16 points from Wilson, of course, is the standout here. Saka captain 22 points, Haaland with 13 points, Foden with 11, Fernandes with 13, Pedro Neto with 6. Neto has been a really good asset in general this season. O'Reilly and Van Dijk in defense, both getting clean sheets, and Sanchez in goal, who's also been like one of the better goalkeepers this season. With 6 points. So an amazing score of 103 points in total. 4 transfers used, but really well used transfers. And still a free hit available for one of these next few game weeks because it's starting to run out. It's only 3 more game weeks now. Game week 17, 18, and 19 where you can use the rest of your chips. So yeah, if you have all 4 chips available still, you will have to go without one of them because yeah, you only have 3 more opportunities to use a chip. So yeah, but this manager has 1 and that's going to be pretty good for one of these next few game weeks, hopefully. But yeah, what do you make of the manager of the week? Of course, not really too much to argue against here because the week was so good and all the transfers basically were worth it. Like even the Guiu transfer was super worth it in terms of getting the funds for the other transfers. So yeah, anything negative you can say about this team or this these decisions?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He was legitimately just 2 players away from everyone having some sort of contribution. So really extremely well done. I think it's a very inspired pick to go for Wilson as well, all things considered, and still have, space for Neto, Thiago, and all these other players. So it's a real nice mixture of players. I can't really fault. Has a bit of Arsenal coverage, has City coverage, has Liverpool coverage, has United. So
Yeah.
like he covers all the teams that have, and of course Harry Wilson, who seems to be going for Player of the Month in December. So yeah, just generally speaking, really really well done as someone who's had Woltemade. Well done. He did an incredible job getting rid of him.
Yeah.
So no, I really can't fault the team. I think it's a lot of inspired picks because having Neto as well
Yeah.
shows that you've had him for longer than just a few game weeks. So yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Going really well for this manager, and like you said, like only two players that is going away from, or which is, yeah, only two players that didn't score, basically, that blanked, and that is Timber, who really should have had a clean sheet against Wolves, like it was really close,
Yeah.
and Thiago, who like was really close to getting another penalty for Renford. It was just called offside. Like he got a penalty, but then it was called off because of offside. And Thiago was in good positions as well. Could have had more goals, but of course didn't have any big chances either. So, yeah, we'll get into Thiago later on in this podcast as well. But yeah, 103 points for the Manager of the Week. Of course, we're going to talk about the next few game weeks as well for the Manager of the Week. But that'll be at the end of the podcast. Now, let's move on to the fixture predictions for this upcoming game week. And we agreed on a couple games, I think, to talk about. Spurs, Liverpool, Everton, and Arsenal. And then finally, we're going to talk about City, West Ham, or Newcastle, Chelsea. What do you reckon?
So repeat the.
I mean, Spurs, Liverpool, and Everton, Arsenal we'll talk about, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, should we just leave it at that, maybe?
Can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can take us through the first few games and predictions, and then I'll take it from the Everton-Arsenal game onwards.
Okay, sure. And which were the ones that you wanted to talk about in specifics? Because
Spurs, Liverpool. Go down to Spurs, Liverpool, and just go through the teams, and then I'll take over from Everton, Arsenal down.
okay, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, to begin with, we have a match that usually gets Mourinho sacked, which is Newcastle and Chelsea playing at St. James Park. I don't know what the current score is in the game that Newcastle are currently playing, but they, of course, famously lost the Tyneside Derby and have been losing the Tyneside Derby quite frequently to Sunderland. There's been a lot of ass to belt there, and of course, Woltemade, their big signing, the man who replaced Isak, the guy that everyone was telling me is better than Isak, scored one of the worst own goals I've seen in a while because it doesn't make any sense, to be honest. He had no one next to him. There was no pressure for him to do that. So I have no idea what happened there. And of course, Chelsea pretty comprehensively beat Everton 2-0. We've both gone for a positive sort of Newcastle result. I don't know for what reason. I think Chelsea just normally struggle at St. James Park, and that's the reason why I said 2-1. And you think because they're at St. James Park, they'll be able to neutralize the Chelsea side that's been pretty decent, but a simple draw. With the Bournemouth Burnley game, we've gone for. I mean, I thought you would go for a bit more of a one sided game, 2-1. Are you going to say it's 2-0 and then they randomly concede, or are you saying that it might be closer than we think?
I mean, Bournemouth have just looked a bit like lately. Like I think they're like 14th or 15th in the table now. And
Yeah.
Burnley are just tend to score against these types of teams. Like they don't score against the big six or top six teams, but against like lesser teams, they usually score. So yeah, just a pretty tight game, but Bournemouth have the more quality. So that's why I gone with 2-1.
Fair. I just think that Burnley are so bad away from home that they'll just get absolutely rumped. This is the type of game that will irritate me that I don't have Semenyo because, of course, he's going to go crazy in this match, I reckon. In the next game, we have Brighton versus Sunderland. We've both gone with a win for Brighton at the Amex Stadium. Sunderland are a great side, but yeah, I think Brighton should be able to see them off pretty comprehensively. There's not that much that needs to really be said in that game. I also think Brighton are so boring to talk about, and Sunderland too. No offense to either fans, but also screw you both. Then we have Man City versus West Ham. Matthias, the famous West Ham fan, went for the same exact result again. We don't see each other's predictions, so it's quite funny that we both went with the complete decimation of his beloved West Ham. So quite interesting. I bet we both reckon that City will get amongst the goals. The question, I guess, to you is this one of those random matches where people triple captain Haaland and he famously banks because for whatever reason he just won't score?
He typically scores at least 2 goals against us, so yeah, I'm expecting 2 goals, I think.
Okay, fair. And then we have Wolves versus Brentford. Wolves, who are completely bottom, 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 bottom. We just expect a pretty easy, or maybe not easy, but
Easy
Brentford
enough.
are just that easy enough, and Brentford are just better than Wolves at this point. And I don't think that Brentford, neither of us think that Brentford are going to be the team that loses to them first. So, yeah, fair enough. Pretty easy, and I'll give it to you to take over, I believe,
No,
for these
you're gonna go
games.
to Spurs Liverpool and give me a question, I guess, to move
Okay,
on.
all right. Well, I feel like there's a bit of bias coming into this result, or do you just strongly believe in Liverpool that they can have a easy 2-0 road win?
I mean, I guess it's more the column A, I guess, like or bias, but like Spurs are just crap, and Liverpool are looking a bit better now. It seems like they're more harmonic in terms of their squad. They managed to get like the whole Salah issue sort of out of the way, and now he's leaving for African Cup of Nations. Seems like they are like they just sorted out that hassle basically between them. So yeah, I just don't think Spurs have enough. Really, like Liverpool aren't the best defensively, but they can on their day be pretty good. But Spurs just haven't been that good at all lately. So yeah, Richarlison still like nah. I mean, he is their top scorer. He deserves more credit or deserves less blame from the Spurs fans. But yeah, I think Liverpool are just a better team. So I've gone with a 2-0 Liverpool win here. Like nothing more than that really.
Okay, in terms of fantasy picks for this match, obviously you don't care. You don't care or rate Spurs in terms of fixture ticker and all this type of stuff. We won't be rating them at all, to be honest. So the question that I have for you lines with the Liverpool assets. If you could pick your top three, who would they be and why?
Ekitike is the hot guy currently on the transfer market in FPL, and I think he's going to start this one as well. Like Isak is still just coming back from another slight injury issue, so I'm a bit unsure about Ekitike like long term in terms of minutes because I think Isak like they will have to just play him and give him minutes, and they're not going to play them both at the same time as much. Like we've seen that just like a handful of times so far this season, maybe just once. I can't even remember more than once that they played together, but yeah, so yeah, I think Ekitike is the main guy there. It seems like Soboslai is injured potentially, so maybe Wirtz. I don't know. He could finally get off the mark, I guess, in the Premier League outside of Germany. And of course, just defenders. Like I say, I don't think they're going to concede. And Van Dijk or Konate should be good. Spurs don't typically concede from set pieces, though. I think they seem pretty good at that, at least. Like they've been pretty good in that regard this season. So yeah, Konate maybe like a cheeky Conor Bradley if you're on a free hit. I think he's going to play. He's back from suspension, and Gomez seems to be injured, and Frimpong is still injured, so he could be a good asset. So yeah, I think I would probably say Bradley, Van Dijk, and Ekitike probably if I was going for a triple up.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the rumor is with Soboslai, anyways, is that he might make the Spurs trip, but it's not 100% certain. But that's a much better prognosis than what a lot of people thought was going to be the case, that he might be out for longer. Um, but the question I also have to you in regards to that is in how there was another thing I was going to say, but uh, if you don't go with Ekatike at all this time. But guys, would it be worth stashing Soboslai or but yeah, would it be worth stashing Soboslai? Because I don't know how Verts is just so inconsistent that we don't know which version of him. Because he's unlucky, right? Because he is getting sort of assists in Champions League and in Europe, but he's just not getting it in terms of the production there. And with Soboslai maybe playing, like we've seen a lot of managers say that a player might not make something and then end up playing. So would you advise someone to get Soboslai in, or would you just say wait until the week after?
I would probably wait. Like I think for Liverpool, for me, I think it's more about their defensive assets. I think they showed that against Inter, like when they don't have Salah, which is going to be the case now. They're going to try to be more defensively minded. That sort of had to change in the Brighton game where they went more on the attack because Salah came on for Gomez pretty early and they had more of an attack than a defense. But I think now Bradley back, they have Konate, Van Dijk, they have the left backs in place, they have Alisson back. I think they're going to be more focused on defense. So I think I'm more focused on like the defenders. Like I would more likely go double up on defense than having a like Ekitike is the one that is intriguing to me. But in terms of the midfielders, like I don't really think anyone is that interesting. Like maybe Soboslai, of course, but I don't know. Set pieces, penalties potentially, unless Isak is starting, could be a good pick. I had him in the Walker draft last week, so could definitely go with Soboslai, but I think I'm more focused on the defense now because I think they're going to be more like a 1-0, 2-0 type of team rather than a 4-3, 3-2 type of team currently. So,
Fair enough.
But I think that pretty much takes us through the half of the fixtures, so I'm going to take it from here. And it is first and foremost the game that we're going to talk more in depth about, and that is Everton against Arsenal. And I think for me, speaking to you as an Everton fan, I'm just wondering, like, Dewsbury-Hall out, potentially, Iliman and Njai, he is going to African Cup of Nations. Grealish had to be subbed off late in the game as well. Like, who's actually playing against Arsenal if you don't have Njai, Dewsbury-Hall, or Grealish? Like, who's the front line there for Everton? Also, with Gana Gueye also leaving for African Cup of Nations, like, who's left to play for Everton?
Yeah, I mean, people forget that we do still have a fit Dwight McNeil back in the team. We do have Charlie Alcaraz as well, who could both be really good replacements. I mean, obviously, Alcaraz did not have the best game against Chelsea because that backwards pass was fucking miserable. But yeah, I still think that those two are more than capable of doing it. We do have. I don't think he's injured. We do have Dibbling just waiting to get some more playing time. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Beto and Barry are also still available in that regard. So yeah, I think it'll be something like that. We have to start getting these players more minutes anyways, but it's always a big blow that our two of our most talented wingers are potentially out. One because of AFCON and one potentially due to injury. But if I remember correctly, I thought someone said that Grealish should be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, we have to wait and see until yeah, we'll have to wait and see until Friday for the press conference and see what he has to say.
Yeah. So with that in mind, all the injury issues, the African Cup of Nations withdrawals, Arsenal are not suffering anything from that because they don't have any African players.
Yep.
Don't know what that says about Arteta, but no, I'm just kidding. But anyways, what do you reckon with this match then? Like with Everton, let's say that they don't have Grealish either, don't have Dewsbury-Hall, don't have Njai. Like, you have one goal here. Who do you think is going to score the goal? Do you think Grealish is going to play and that's going to contribute to a goal? Like, who do you think is going to score here? Because that's why I went with 0 Everton goals, because I can't really see who's going to score the goal there. Set piece?
I mean,
Tarkowski?
I think it could be Alcaraz or
Yeah.
cheeky Dwight McNeil. Those two can sort of score from anywhere. So I'm expecting it's going to take individual brilliance for us to score rather than us being leading with the front foot. But if we're leading from the front foot and all this type of stuff, then yeah, City are going to win the league.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if Arsenal can't beat Everton with that depleted of a squad, then yeah, they shouldn't really. Yeah, they're not going to have too much to to withstand Man City with, I guess. But we'll see. It's an interesting time for Arsenal. It's been a lot of games lately, and they've struggled a bit more now. They've had a lot of injuries, of course. Both their centre backs are out. They've had a lot of issues offensively as well, but they're starting to get fit again now. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Arsenal going forward. But yeah, I'll go in a 2-0 Arsenal win. You go in a 3-1 Arsenal win against Everton. And yeah, it's going to be a tough test for Everton regardless, especially if they don't have Grealish on top of everything else, and Dewsbury-Hall for that matter. They could both be available still. And if that's the case, that's way more of a tough match for Arsenal because those guys are really good. And Everton are, on their day, really, really good at home as well. And they have been spoilers for Arsenal before, so that could happen. Next game up is Leeds against Crystal Palace. I've gone with a 1-1 draw because I don't really know. You go with a 2-1 Palace win, which I think is probably more likely. Palace just seem to get results from somewhere, but they're losing Ismail Sarr now, of course, as well. They're already struggling with injuries, with Daniel Munoz out injured. They have played a lot of matches in a row. They have like a grueling schedule coming up now as well, and they have Arsenal in the cup in like a week from now, I think. So yeah, I think just all of that put together makes me go 1-1, but I do see Palace just getting that 2-1 win, kind of like they did against West Ham earlier this season. They eke out wins or like a couple of games back as well. I think against, was it Brentford or something? When they also or Fulham, I think, when they also just had like a late Mark Guéhi goal that helped them get the win. Probably happens again because Guéhi just keeps scoring this season. Aston Villa against Man United, we both have 2-1 in this game, which is a pretty even game. But like, yeah, I kind of want to stop at this game as well and talk a little bit more in depth about Aston Villa as a team, because the interesting thing with them especially is the fact that if you look at expected points, which is like expected goals per game, and you use that rather than the actual score to decide who gets the 3 points, Aston Villa would be 15th in the table with the expected points in that regard, because they always keep outperforming their expected goals because they keep scoring like long shots like from far out. Of course, they're third now. What do you recommend Aston Villa for the course of the season? Are they just like a semi-title contender? Like, are they the best team outside of Arsenal and Man City? Or is it like, are they going to fall down a bit and regress a little bit to the mean over the course of the season?
I still think that they'll, I mean, if they could keep it up, that is mightily impressive. But I also do think that it is crazy that they're doing a lot of this without Ollie Watkins being at his best as well. So pretty impressive. You have players like Emi Buendia scoring all the time. You have McGinn getting a goal contribution. Even like Kamara scoring. You got Lindelof getting assists. Like, everyone's contributing. It's been a really good team effort from them. So whether they can keep it up is a completely shot in the dark sort of question, because am I going to be bold enough to say no? Maybe, yeah. Because I do still think that I hate them. No, I'm just
Of course,
kidding.
you're a hater.
No,
You've
but
been getting comments about that.
In all seriousness, I do think that other teams might be able to catch up with them simply because they could get out muscled in January as well. Like, oh, of course, you can say that January signings can't be that revolutionary, but for these bigger sides, it definitely can. And unfortunately, with the PSR stuff, Aston Villa are kind of screwed when it comes to making any big moves in January, because I think their squad lacks a John Duran in regards to when the goals dry up for Ollie Watkins and they need to get the goals from a striker. They don't really have a backup that can do it. Daniel Malin has looked much better as of late, to be honest, which credit to him, but he's still playing out in the wing like he used to for Dortmund. So, damn it. I forgot to press the button for the light. But
Lights out.
Yeah, so I think it might just end up being that. I also think that Liverpool will do a resurgence and make it back into the top 4 as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of factors going against them. But if Unai Emery can keep up his hatred for Arsenal, then yeah, he'll win the league.
Fair. We'll see what happens with Aston Villa. I think they will be like, I had them before the start of the season at 5th place, and I feel pretty good about that now. I think they're going to be slightly better than that potentially, but it is going to be like, we all expected Liverpool to be up there, and they might be in the end of the season as well. They are looking slightly better, and they're of course going to have people coming into form, hopefully for them, with Wirtz and Isak. Like, we know how good they are as players, so you would assume that they would be good. And Chelsea are up there, and of course Arsenal and City. So yeah, I think fifth is especially within reach, but maybe even fourth, maybe even third as well, if they're like really good and can keep it up. The final game that we have, the Monday game, is between Fulham and Nottingham Forest, and we both gone with a draw. I gone with a 2-2 because I think Fulham games and Nottingham Forest games, for that matter, have been pretty high scoring lately. And you going 1-1, which is what I usually would have gone with if it wasn't for the latest few results for these teams. So yeah, not really too much to talk about more with this game. I guess like the African Cup of Nations thing, which is what we're going to get into in the next segment, is going to be interesting for this game in particular, because Fulham are losing, of course, 3 players to Nigeria, with Calvin Bassey, Alex Iwobi, and Chukwueze, Samuel Chukwueze, that is. And Nottingham Forest are losing their hero from last game week, Sangare, Ibrahima Sangare is his name, to Ivory Coast. He was magnificent in the game against Spurs with a beautiful goal and 2 assists as well, which is interesting. But yeah, he's leaving to play for the Ivory Coast now, so interesting game for sure when it comes to African Cup of Nations players. And that's what I'm kind of want to focus on a little bit with this fixture ticker, but I wanted to just go through like the 5 or so, six or so best teams, because we're not going to have, it's going to be a bit difficult to do the podcast for the next few weeks, or next few game weeks, because they are coming thick and fast during Christmas, when we're both going to be a bit busy, and it's not going to be too many days to record on and stuff. So yeah, but let's just start up top. Everton. This game week is, of course, going to be tough against Arsenal, but going from game week 18 onwards, Burnley away, Nottingham Forest away, Brentford at home, Wolves at home. These 4 fixtures are really, really good. So I'm just wondering, like, quickly, like, Everton, who are, like, the best assets to go for there? Do you think defensively? Like, also, like, what I'm also a bit interested in is in terms of Branthwaite, because he is going to come back maybe in these types of games, like in between game week 18 and 21. So what would you do with defense? Like, would you go for Tarkowski? Would you go for Keane and then do another transfer if you have like 4 transfers saved up in the bank? Would you go without Everton defense? Like, how do you think Branthwaite's return is going to affect them? And also, how do you think Iliman Ndiaye going to African Cup of Nations, probably for a long time because Senegal are pretty good, how do you think that will affect Everton as a team going forward? And how do you think that affects their assets?
No, absolutely. I think a lot of people will be looking to rage transfer Arsenal players out with just simply due to their schedule, and especially defensively, especially if you have like a double up of Arsenal defense still. So I've always said Jordan Pickford is a viable option in the matches that we do get clean sheets, because he usually gets a lot of save points and has that penalty save in him as well. So I absolutely think that Pickford is an option. I think Tarkowski, Defcon King, is always an option in regards to that. It's a bit more difficult knowing who to go for in midfield, simply because we don't currently know what's going on with KDH. So I would say go for KDH. I'd say Keane is a lot more risky now, simply because of the quick turnaround and all this type of stuff, and potentially Branthwaite being back soon. But of course, until we know for sure, you could go for Keane, because he is only 4.6. And because Moyes is very transparent with the Branthwaite stuff, he doesn't do any mind games, so he'll say whether he's ready or not. So I'd say wait for the press conference before you make a move. But I would rank it probably Tarkowski 1, Pickford 2, and KDH at 3. I would normally say KDH higher because of how cheap he is, but because we don't know the current affair of his hamstring injury, don't assume, just wait. But yeah, other than that, I think defensively we look solid. I mean, despite losing 2-0 to Chelsea, it's Chelsea at the end of the day. I mean, technically Everton did a better job than Barcelona defending against them, but whatever. But I do think we're going to get spanked to Arsenal, sadly. If we win that, I'll be very happy, but I'll also be a bit like, okay, we have screwed over Arteta again. So fair enough. I mean, he can always come manage us instead of Moyes. I wouldn't hate that.
Second best manager this past season, according to Messi. So
Yep.
in the best voting. But yeah, that is Everton. And also just like a quick thing, like NJ is usually the penalty taker. Who's going to be the penalty taker if he's not there? Do you know? Is it Garner? Could he take penalties? Am I going crazy there, or is that, or who would take it?
It all depends on who's on the pitch. If Beto's starting, for example, he is the pen taker. I could see McNeil taking them as well if he's on the pitch. It all depends. Genuinely depends on who's on the pitch. I could see KDH being on penalties too because he used to take pens as well. So it all depends on. Unfortunately, it all depends on who's on the pitch.
You would say Beto number one, and then McNeil, and then KDH, like in terms of if they're all on the pitch.
I think the hierarchy might be, I think it might be how you said it.
Yeah.
Gardner, no, I wouldn't say Gardner's going to be taking the pens. I think it is that.
Yeah, fair enough. Liverpool, I sort of touched on in the last segment in terms of what I think with Liverpool assets, but like quickly, like, do you agree? Do you have any assets that you like from Liverpool? Or is it like Ekitike and defenders? Is there anyone else that you're looking at from there, potentially?
In terms of Liverpool, I mean, I would have said I always liked Joe Gomez because he's such a cheap differential, but now he's injured as he always does. He always gets this bullshit injury. So in terms of them, I mean, who do you really have? It's Soboslai, him, Verts, Ekitike, Isak. Like, I feel like they have too many obvious players that you can pick from, so it's just to pick one of the more obvious ones. I would have said Gakpo before his injury, but of course he also, it's a muscle injury? Like, what was it he
out a couple weeks. I think it's going to be out like most of these games because they're coming like really quickly as well. So
yeah, unfortunately it seems like Van Dijk number one, Van Dijk number one just because of how we know he's going to play every game. Ekitike, and then Soboslai.
Fair. Man City, I think we're all like in agreement there. Like Haaland, Foden, O'Reilly is what most of us have, and we've also talked about right before the podcast. Actually, like Turkey is like a really nice option. He scored now in the cup. He's had several assists. I think he has like 5 assists or something in the league already. He looks amazing whenever he plays, and he's going to be more in the squad now rather than Reinders. Maybe he is like the Reinders that we hoped for at the start of the season. And then Guardiola defensively is also pretty good. Donnarumma, if you want to have a good goalkeeper instead from them. They have like pretty obvious assets, I think, Man City. Newcastle is not quite as obvious. We both have Woltemade, and we're both looking to get rid of him. I assume, like, with these fixtures, maybe not. But again, it's the Wissa Woltemade thing. I don't think there's any winners there. Like, I think they're both going to eat into each other's minutes. So any other Newcastle players that tickles your fancy? Is Bruno Guimaraes someone that you would consider? Anthony Gordon, is he someone that you might go for? Any defenders? Like, do you like Livramento or Chaw or anyone like that?
Yeah, I would have said Byrne before his injury and all this type of stuff. And Boris Diaw or Malik Diaw would be, of course, a good choice as well. But I don't know. No defenders move me in all teams, pretty much. I feel like no team's capable of keeping a clean sheet these days. So whether that be the competitive nature of the league or just teams not just being able to defend properly. So, but I do like Anthony Gordon. I think he's been incredible in the Champions League, but he's also been terrible in the Prem. So, except for like one penalty here or there, which again is the reason why I brought Woltemade in. So, no, I think Anthony Gordon and Bruno G are good choices outside of what are their defenders or Ramsdale at this rate? How long is Pope out for? Do you know?
Still a couple more game weeks, I think. But I don't even know if he's going to start. But
how cheap is he? Actually, maybe I should look into that.
What, Nick Pope?
Petrovic. No, Ramsdale.
Nah, he's also quite expensive. Like, he was supposed to be the starting goalkeeper before the season started, so he is 4.8. So yeah, not as expensive, but yeah, 4.8 Ramsdale, 5.1.
Expensive enough.
Yeah.
expensive enough in my opinion.
Rather go with
So
Sanchez, for
never
example,
mind.
for the same price. Yeah.
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 But from that, I think it's those avoid Alanga currently. Sorry, Swedes.
Of course. Then Brentford, like we know, Igor Thiago is interesting, but other than that, like you bought Vandenberg yourself. What made
Yep.
into your decision with him, and do you think he's going to be good with these fixtures?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also just he was a perfect stash defender to have in case there are injuries and stuff. And considering it's Wolves, which I think could be easy-ish match for them.
Yeah.
I think Bournemouth at home could be not the best. Why the hell did I buy him? Uh, no, it's just because Diouf isn't gonna play, right? So that's probably why I brought him in. And Spurs can be anything. Everton, I reckon they're gonna lose, but then against Sunderland at home, I reckon they'll win. So
Yeah.
yeah, they have a decent amount of home games as well. So that's pretty much why I figured to go for him.
Good for DEFCON
But
as well.
yeah, he is a bit of a DEFCON guy. So yeah, that's pretty much the only reasoning behind it. Other than Thiago and him, do I think that it's like necessarily the right choice to triple up on them? I don't think so. If Dango hadn't gone, then maybe I would have said go for Dango because I think he is awesome. But besides those three, and it's not really three, besides those two, Rico Henry maybe because he can get a random assist every now and then.
Yeah, I'd probably just stick with the center backs because they have more DEFCON and scoring
DEFCON,
potential really
yeah,
than him. So
yeah,
yeah, Man United as well. I think that's going to be an interesting team, especially like even Gaming 18 against Newcastle at home is a decent game. But
yeah.
then Wolves at home Gaming 19, Leeds away Gaming 20, and Burnley away in Gaming 21. Those three games are looking really nice. And of course, we both have Bruno Fernandes already. I think he's like pretty much a given in FPL right now. He's one of the best players.
Triple captain. Okay, I
Could
can't.
be like triple captain Gaming 19. Like I wouldn't be against it. But I'm also wondering, like, any other Man United players that you think could be good? Like, Šeško might get his chance now up front. No Mbuemo, no Amad Diallo, of course. They're going to have less players. It seems like they're going to change the system a little bit, playing four at the back. Like, that's something that they've talked about. That's something that was leaked as well before they actually did it in this past game against Bournemouth. Cunha is, of
Yeah,
course, someone that has looked really lively, and he's going to be able to take more responsibility with Mbuemo leaving now. Defensively, they keep conceding goals. But they do have some nice defensive assets. Delict has been decent for DEFCON points and can score from set pieces. Dalot is going to play like right wing back or right back every single game now, I think, with Noama Diallo. Dorgu might even play more at left back because they have less cover there, I guess. But maybe they play Luke Shaw there. I think Dalot is like more like if you want to go with a fullback. But any of those guys that you would be interested in, or you're just like not feeling the Man United defense because they keep conceding goals?
I think that's the. I mean, Dogu especially hasn't been playing lately, but Dalot I think is a bit interesting because he is so offensive and can haul as well. So I don't hate him as a potential, especially during their very easy run there. Even the Newcastle game, it feels like a game where he could potentially get an assist or thing. So, but Wolves leads Burnley, that feels like um, yeah, let's go for Dallo sort of thing. And then other than that, Bruno, him, would I get Ses? I would rather people would go for Cunha over Sesko because
Yeah.
I still think Cunha has the potential. Like that is a better double up than going for Sesko in attack. But the question is, how are you going to be able to afford it? Because we all have Saka. I'm just kidding. I'm I'm even considering maybe getting rid of Saka, but that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
just because I just because Arsenal don't have the best games,
Yeah, I mean
but
Aston
he's
Villa
still
at
there.
home, Bournemouth away, Liverpool at home. Those three games you could go from Saka to Cunha, for example,
Yeah.
and then to Palmer after that.
Yep. No. Once we know what the sort of place is with Palmer, and once we know sort of we still know that Saka is the pen taker as well, so that's the one thing that's keeping me from. And also, he seems to be their, main guy that is the driving force behind their wins and stuff. So, but yeah, I think Cunha is looking really nice as of late. And the thing that people forget about Cunha is even though people brand him as a super selfish guy, he's also more than capable of doing great passes and stuff. So now that Mbuemo's out as well for AFCON, we're going to see Cunha get more touches. We're going to see Bruno get more touches and potentially even see Sesko play more. So I would say number one, of course, Bruno. Number two, Dallo, number three, Cunha. I
Okay.
don't know. I think Dallo is just such a. He's just playing every game now and
Yeah.
has the capability. Like the thing that he's good at is not defending. It's going forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd be lucky to have that in your FPL team.
He's been pretty close to both scoring like 2 games ago and then assisting this game. He actually did get his assist, I think, for the first goal.
Yeah,
But also like J.K. Mason Mount for 5.9 midfield. No Mbuemo
yeah,
attacking mid.
yeah. I mean, I do. I've liked what I've seen of Mason Mount. The only thing that I don't personally like about Mason Mount is he doesn't explode enough. I think he has a ceiling whilst Cunha doesn't in that regards.
Didn't he have like one game where he had like that like 7-0 game against Norwich? Didn't he have like 5 assists or something crazy?
He went absolutely crazy. I think it was like 3 goals and 2 assists or something like that. Like he had a 5 goals contribution in one game.
Yeah.
But he's never done that ever again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember because I had Kai Havertz as captain and he did absolutely nothing. It was the worst. Yeah, 3 goals, 1 assist in the 7-0 win.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
He had a couple games with goal and assist in the same game. 2 goals, 1 assist against Southampton, 6-0. Goal and assist against Leeds. That season he was pretty good for Chelsea. That's
yeah, but that's it. He was still at Chelsea.
21-22 season.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
so
he had like that was the season he was actually like against like the lesser teams, like I just said, Norwich, Southampton, Leeds. He kept doing like fantastic, but then he struggled in the bigger games in that season. I remember that. Yeah, throwback makes him out. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, he has it in him to at least get a goals contribution, but you want more than just a goals contribution. But that's also why he costs as little as he does. But I think you'd be better pressed to go for Cunha instead, who has the capabilities of doing these crazy hauls. I mean, he hasn't as of late, because he's been doing sort of similar numbers to Mount, but I still think he'll get more and more playtime and get back into it because he went 2-3 games. He was injured for like 2 games, or was it suspension? I can't remember what it was, but he was gone for like 2 games.
yeah.
Seems to be finding his rhythm every week, and yeah, I think he'll just get better and better. So I would much like, even though he's 2 million more, I'd still go for Cunha over Mount. But I don't think Mount's a bad shout at all.
He's interesting if you don't have the money for Cunha and you want to go with a bit of a differential. I think Mount is like a decent choice, but yeah. I also think Cunha is just better if you have the money available. And then the final thing I want to talk about is, of course, Spurs. No, we don't care. Even though they do have some better matches eventually, but we want to go to the mighty West Ham and Jared Bowen, who is someone that you mentioned already in this podcast.
Yeah.
This game week, of course, away to Man City, that's going to be tough. But after that, Fulham at home. Fulham are without, like I said a couple times, all their Nigerian players who are really good. Bassi, Iwobi, and Chukwueze. I think Fulham at home could be a really nice fixture going forward now, especially seeing how many goals they've conceded lately. So that seems like a pretty good entry point for me with Bowen. Then he has Brighton at home, which is still a team you can score against. We've seen that in the past this season. Wolves away, really good fixture. I think Bowen has a pretty good history there. Nottingham Forest at home also should be pretty good. And then Spurs away, where anything can happen in that derby. So, yeah, Bowen he's someone that you've pinpointed before. Are you locked into getting him, or are you still like seeing how he does against City? Like, what's your feeling with Bowen as well going forward in these next few game weeks?
I'll be honest, I don't think cementing it, I guess, is if he does well against City, but I think the fixtures sort of dictate it in that regards. And if he's not the one scoring, then you guys are 100% getting relegated. So, like, these are must wins for West Ham. It'll be interesting to see whether he'll still have Nuno as coach by then. So,
Have to.
what, you think he'll ride
Yeah,
He
yeah.
won't get
I
fired.
think we'll be fine. Like we've had tough matches the last 5 games, and we've done like decent, like not too bad. Like the results wise, maybe not, but like we've faced like really tough teams and
Yeah.
on the right track, I think at least.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the two matches that you lost, yes, granted that they were at home, were against Aston Villa and Liverpool.
Yep,
Those were hard games to. I mean, drawing against Brighton, I think is considered a good result. You
almost
guys
beat them.
drew Man United,
Yeah,
which was a good result, and you drew Bournemouth, which was a good result. And then when you played Burnley and Newcastle, you won. The only
yeah,
loss recently that might sting, and it happened to both of us because we both lost to Leeds away, but
yeah, and
Leeds are
Brentford
good at
before that
home,
as well.
so
Brentford and
yeah,
Leeds. That's when he had like the whole like super weird formation with like left back playing right back and right back playing left back.
yeah, because he would refuse to start Diouf, which is stupid. So
I don't know. It was strange times. I think it was just experimenting with his team when he just joined. But yeah. But yeah, I think Bowen
yeah,
is looking pretty good, and it seems like Gudu as well. But he's going to be a really nice option for game week 18 potentially. And we'll get to your plans actually right now. It actually is a pretty good segue because you did mention potentially getting Bowen. The transfer that I projected to you was without doing a hit, you can do Woltemade to Welbeck basically. You mentioned you kind of want to go with yeah. That's the only thing. That's the downside I thought about with the transfers because Bowen is actually more expensive than Woltemade, so you don't even have the money to go from Woltemade to Bowen directly as of
yeah.
right now. But if you do Ultimate as Welbeck, you could also do Dewsbury-Hall to Wilson. But if that's the case, you would have to bench defender against Van den Berg against Wolves, or Van Dijk against Spurs, or Timber against Everton. Maybe, but I think going -4 for that is a bit much. So I would probably just do Ultimate to Welbeck, or potentially just stand pat with your team currently and save up the transfers and hope that Ultimate does something against Chelsea. Could happen. Who knows?
Yeah, could easily happen.
If yeah, so yeah. What do you reckon? Like, do you think you'll do a transfer? Do you think you'll do a hit? Do you think you'll stand pat? What are your thoughts for this game week?
Feel like it might come down to some press conference stuff, what I hear, and etc. If I hear anything encouraging to make it sound like we're so start against Chelsea, then there's no point to keeping Ultimata. But of course, he is their marquee signing, so I still think that they're going to back him, and especially after. Um, I don't think it's the most clever thing to bench or drop him completely after a game where he scored an own goal
Yeah,
in that regards. So I think I could stand pat and just see.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll stand pat and just play the team
Welbeck
as
not
you
interesting to you?
suggest. Welbeck is interesting, but I feel like Welbeck hasn't been playing.
Yeah, he's been rested a bit lately because he is someone that needs to be matched. But he didn't play last game, but he usually comes back and plays the next game. But I don't know. Yep, Sunderland at home, then Arsenal away. Maybe he gets rested in that game. West Ham away, Burnley at home. I think 3 out of the next 4 are really good fixtures.
Yeah, that's true. Bring back Minte? No, I was kidding. Uh,
Like if
maybe.
you do wait a week to do a transfer and you want to do Woltemade to Bowen, you would need point 0.1 right now, maybe point 0.2 because Woltemade might go down in price again. Um, so how would you fund that? Like who would you sell to bring in the money to get Bowen for Woltemade if that's the case?
Yeah, I mean,
Timber?
it, it could potentially be Timber or Saka. What are the two in that regard? So yeah, but I do think Everton currently looks so bad. Like not bad. It's just we're missing the key pieces to win a game like this.
Yeah.
So, but if we do win, Moise, no, I was kidding. But yeah, so I think it might be one of those two that will get transferred out. But it feels so stupid considering I just brought Timber in.
Yeah.
I just bring Timber in for that one fucking game? No. So um it'll be a bit I don't know. I guess Saka maybe because it frees up my funds slightly more and I can that midfield spot could be literally anyone. It could even be Cunha as well.
Yeah.
These sort of things.
Against
So it'll
Newcastle at
be
home. It's not too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a toughie. It's a toughie to be honest because yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'm just annoyed that Woltemade isn't 7.6 because I would have just done that and call it a day because Bowen will likely go up in price, especially if he does something against City as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he does against City, that would be a crazy outcome.
Because
Could
then
happen, I
people
guess,
want
but
to. Yeah, I mean, he seems to be the only one who has any bit of zhuzh about him. So
mhm. Yeah. I mean, I still think Welbeck is a decent option, but of course he's been a bit
yeah,
in and out of the team. He's been like every other game he's played now, so that's not encouraging. But the fixtures he has are really good at least. So yeah, if he was just a little bit more nailed as a striker, then yeah, you could go there. But yeah, you're a bit locked with your team with only one transfer and 0.0 in the bank. So standing pat is potentially the best idea, and just hoping Woltemade does something. I mean, Chelsea, they've been really up and down this season. You could easily see Newcastle at home scoring a couple goals there. So Woltemade could be good for that game as well. But I'm looking to get rid at least. But maybe waiting for next week myself to get Bowen as well. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, those are your plans currently. Standing pat is what you're leaning towards. Let's go to Kimo's plans, and that's basically for him as well. Standing pat, potentially, since you have the bench boost available, Kimo could do bench boost this week. I mean, it's not ideal, but you have 4 players here. I think Rupert Jr. is at least going to get like 30 minutes or so against Burnley at home, against tired Burnley legs. I think he could be good off the bench. Still, Livermento against Chelsea, not ideal with Enzo on the other side of the pitch. You could sell Enzo as well. That could be the transfer option. 3 free transfers and 0.6 in the bank. But I think this team is just like decent enough. You could always bench Enzo and start Anderson as well and not use the bench boost. That could also be the way to go forward with this team. But I think the team is pretty strong. Minte against Sunderland at home, Semenyo against Burnley at home. I think these guys are pretty good differentials. Trippier against Burnley at home as well. You have a couple of Bournemouth guys that not many other people have. Triple up with City, still double up with Arsenal, or triple up with Arsenal with Raya in goal even. I think this team is looking pretty good, so I wouldn't do anything drastic, but potentially bench boosts. Use your transfers potentially to boost your bench boosts, or just use it because Groupie Jr. probably not going to get that good of an opportunity with him in the squad for your bench boost. A lot of different things you can do, but I would probably just stand pat and maybe use the bench boost is what I would do. But
I think you should use the bench boost because Anderson's on limited time as well.
yeah,
So yeah, I think he probably should.
and it's definitely not a free hit week, and he's going to have to use free hit either in game week 18 or game week 19. Most likely game week 19, I would think, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's better teams to target
Let's actually
on
go.
those
Let's actually
games.
go and look at that because he has the free hit left,
Yeah,
and also the manager of the week has free hit left as well. So it is actually a pretty good time to look at the fixtures. Game week 19, like Man United, for example, Wolves at home. You could always buy players from them outright. Newcastle against Burnley away. It seems kind of like we both free hitted in game week 3 when both Man United and Newcastle had good fixtures. So it's kind of the same in game week 19 as well. Palace at home to
yeah,
Fulham potentially. Mateta could be
yeah,
back like fully fit in that game. Chelsea against Bournemouth at home seems like a really good Cole Palmer opportunity on a free hit. Could even captain him.
yeah,
Not that many people are going to have Palmer, so yeah, I
yeah.
think game 19 actually sticks out. Game
Because
8,
there are pretty good teams that you can target with City, Chelsea, and Liverpool.
yeah,
Yeah,
there are just a lot of good teams, but like game 18, you have Everton against Burnley. It's nice. Liverpool at home to
yeah,
Wolves, like that's the best fixture possible. But of course, no Salah. You could go with Ekitike if he's ready to play. But if Isak is, I mean, it is just a bit more unsure with Isak and Ekitike there.
yeah.
Fulham at home for Bowen. You can go with him. But yeah, I think game 19 stands out as the free hit week. So I think with that in mind, probably bench
Bench boost.
boosts either now or next game week. But this team looks pretty good, and you're gonna have City away next game week as well. Yeah, so bench boost could be the best option. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think with Kimo? Do you think you should bench boost with this team?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he should bench
should
boost.
he do transfers to make it better somehow? Like he has 0.6 in the bank. Krupi Jr. is so cheap, you can't really get anyone else. Maybe Calvert Lewin cheekily. I don't know.
Who are Leeds playing this weekend again?
Leeds are playing against Crystal Palace at home.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's not great, yeah.
I think Cooper Jr. for this game, especially
Yeah,
where he'll likely even get a cameo, for sure. I think it'd be good. It's just a question of if there is like a rental player because he has so many
could do.
transfers.
This is another thing that actually, like, I just thought of. I should have thought of this earlier. Enzo to Harry Wilson and then bench boost,
Yeah, exactly. Done.
because that is a really cheap player that Kimo doesn't have.
Yeah, yeah. And he certainly has the midfielders just to directly
And even with that money,
downgrade to.
you could upgrade Cooper Jr. to someone potentially like Welbeck, maybe if you get the money from Enzo to
Yeah, he has
Wilson.
3 transfers as well. So yeah, you might as well just do that. Why
Could
not?
play around, yeah. So yeah, I think Enzo to Wilson
Bench
makes
boost.
sense.
Bench boost is 100% in effect, in my opinion,
Yeah,
with Harry Wilson and
yeah, yeah. I think that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Two chips left for Kimo, so a lot of thoughts or a lot of queries, questions he has to answer himself. But we'll see what he does. I haven't asked him personally, but yeah. So yeah, Enzo to Wilson is something that I should have thought about, but I did this pretty quickly because you have a flight to catch tomorrow. So let's get on with it with this podcast as well. Let's go on to the manager of the week and the plans here. And again, I've just done stand pat. Wilson is already here. You could do the same here, like selling Neto to like Semenyo or Minte, for example, and get that ideal midfield. Other than that, I think the team is really strong. Like you could just bench Neto for Senesi against Burnley at home. Could put Gehi in as well against Leeds. Like the bench is also like with bench boost here available would also be nice, but this manager used bench boosting in week 7, so that's sadly not an option. But yeah, I think this looks like pretty good, so I wouldn't probably do any transfers, but maybe Minte or Semenyo for Neto if you want to, but Neto has also been pretty good for you, so you might want to keep him and just bench him for Senesi, for example, or Gehi. Like, who would you bench in this scenario, do you think, with this squad?
I think, yeah, I think the sort of 11 that you proposed is pretty good. If you really believe that Senesi can definitely 1,000,000% keep a clean sheet, then maybe Van Dijk.
Yeah, Van Dijk against Spurs instead.
Yeah,
What about
yeah,
Gehi against
because
Leeds? Do you think he's...
I think Leeds are good enough to score
Yeah,
at home. So that's the only reason. And that's the only reason why I think Spurs might be able to burst the bubble a little bit because even though they suck, they can still score at home.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if
And
there's...
Van Dijk has not been the greatest in terms of scoring headers in that regards.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you can get
Yeah.
DefCon.
He can, and that's my slight worry with Senesi. He's usually so good for DEFCON, but against Burnley, maybe not. But Burnley are also sort of trying to attack these teams as well, so
Yeah,
you never know.
and
So it is a bit of a benching conundrum. Bruno Fernandes against Aston Villa away. Do you think that's like an easy start regardless, or do you think that's a tough fixture? So maybe not.
no, you have
You have
with
to
this
start him.
form, you
Yeah,
have to start him.
he's also like someone
Yeah.
that can get DEFCON. He can get like all different kinds of things. So I agree with you there. But just in case people are looking at that fixture and thinking they won 9 straight or whatever they have in the league, could be tough. But
Yeah, I mean, it could be very tough, and it could very much be an easy win for Aston Villa, just because Aston Villa are good against the bigger sides. Um, you could have big side, but bigger club, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, I still think due to his form, due to his comments recently as well, which I've really appreciated hearing, where he basically bitched and moaned about Man United, saying that everyone sucks besides him. That was really fun to see. So I think he's going to be even more fired up. And like that free kick was magical. Like
yeah,
he is
so good.
back to his best in that regards.
Underrated player in general, I think. Doesn't get enough credit.
Overhated player, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. If he had gone
Brilliant.
to like
And
a
I hate
team with
and I
technical
hate United.
aspirations, what?
He's so overhated. And I hate United like with a passion, and I still love and rate Bruno Fernandes. I think he's one
Yeah.
of the elites, and if he came to Barcelona, I'd be very happy.
Yeah. I mean, you were the one to tell me about Bruno Fernandes back in the day when he was linked with West Ham and we bought Yarmolenko instead. But yeah, I digress. But yeah, that is why I enjoy doing the podcast with you. Like I mentioned in one of the comments, you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to football and also in FPL, despite your playing style sometimes being a hindrance for you. But anyways, it's been another great podcast, and as always with the FPL School podcast, I leave it up to you to have the final word. But before that, I'm just gonna once again remind you viewers again, if you want to be the manager of the week and get featured on the podcast or a video, you can join the FPL Scope mini league with the league code FNPQ83, and if you get the highest score in one particular game week, you'll get featured on the podcast or a video. But that's basically it for me. Kevin, take it away before we end this podcast.
You look pretty fucking stupid, Jamie Carragher.